The next one is millet. Now, cool thing about millet is gluten-free. But the reason it starts coming down towards the middle of the pack is because the glycemic index scale starts to creep up there. Okay, in some cases you're getting like north of 60, 65, all the way up to like 68, 69 glycemic index, which is pretty high scale. Okay, so even in its whole grain form. Now, what makes it unique is it does have more protein and more aminos than a lot of the other grains. So if you were, say, vegan or vegetarian, you're not getting a lot of meat and protein in, it's a better source of protein and aminos than some of your other grains. But here's what makes it super unique, specifically for people that might be insulin resistant or diabetic. There was a pretty cool study published in recent Research in Science and Technology that had subjects consume millet for about 90 days. Okay, and they found that over the course of 90 days, compared to other grains, there was a 19% reduction in HbA1c. This is pretty wild. So HbA1c, it's like your lagging 90-day indicator. It's called glycolated hemoglobin. So it shows like how glucose that's been high for a long period of time is affecting your cells and affecting your blood. Now, they think that this has to do with what are called non-starch polysaccharides, basically sugar molecules or glucose molecules are bound together really tightly in certain ways that have to be broken down by the gut once again. So therefore it remodels the gut microbiome. But there's also something called ferulic acid, and there's other research looking at this. Okay, so the rule of thumb with millet is you want to go for as dark as you possibly can. The darker the millet, the higher the ferulic acid content. Now this ferulic acid seems to modulate inflammation, specifically within the brain. So you remember that old book, Grain Brain, where they talked about like back in the early 2000s or mid 2000s? They're talking about how the different protein strands can actually cross-contaminate and cause effects with the brain. There's merit to that, but with millet, there seems to be a net positive impact on inflammation, specifically as it has to do with the brain and crossing the blood-brain barrier. So millet is gluten-free too. So if it's something that you're trying to like experiment with new grains, maybe like a millet barley blend would be a nice thing to try to see if you were like maybe trying to test out gluten here or there. Now